Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, families of Uvalde school shooting victims called on Congress to change gun laws today. And more migrants are expected to enter at the El Paso, Texas border as the deadline looms to end the Trump-era policy on immigration.
Plus, it's beginning to feel a lot like December outside. The latest on cold air filtering in, and when we could see a return to perhaps flurries coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts right now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Family members of those who died in the Uvalde, Texas school shooting were on Capitol Hill today for a hearing examining gun violence. Their raw and heartfelt testimony ran up against the divisive politics surrounding gun control. CBS's Skyler Henry has more from Capitol Hill.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee opened a hearing on gun violence with a recording of the shots fired inside Robb Elementary School that killed 10-year-old Tess Mata and 20 others.
She will never graduate high school, never fall in love herself, never be present at my wedding. And we will never know how scared she was in her last moments in that classroom.
Tess's older sister, Faith, described her bright younger sister, but wanted answers from lawmakers about what brought her there.
Are we not tired of hearing the stories of victims? Of hearing them from victims' families? Are we not tired of hearing yet another tragedy because of gun violence? When is enough enough?
While Mata delivered emotional testimony, committee members on both sides of the aisle stuck to their gun control talking points.
Without an assault weapons ban, more people will die. And if we're not going to ban them, then law enforcement must be trained to confront these weapons of war.
There's only one solution for my friends across the aisle, and that is to emasculate the Second Amendment and remove guns from legal, lawful, and law-abiding citizens.
Lawmakers also heard from the ER doctor on duty when the Uvalde victims were brought in.
You should know, they didn't get buried looking sweet and happy like their photos. Some were missing limbs, some had holes in their tiny chests. You might mistakenly imagine a funeral where a child lies peacefully in a colorful coffin. But make no mistake, there's no peace in the death of a child by a weapon of war.
Congress did pass stricter gun control laws in June following the Uvalde massacre. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, there will be a divided Congress beginning in the new year, making any new gun control legislation very unlikely. The parents of Deshaun Perry, one of the 3 University of Virginia football players shot and killed last month, are talking for the first time. At a news conference today, they asked the football world, especially all the young people, to use their voices to stop gun violence. Deshaun's mother, Happy Perry, told NBC she had just gotten off the phone with her son when the shooting occurred. She says she does not want any other family to experience this pain.
I'm here to stand in the gap and for my son who was killed in Virginia, and to be his voice. My son was a loving, caring young man. He loved his family, he loved his teammates, and this is heartbreaking right now.
Deshaun and 2 of his teammates were killed when a fellow student opened fire on a bus as it returned to the UVA campus after a class field trip. That suspect, former walk-on football player Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., faces multiple charges, including 3 counts of second-degree murder and 3 counts of using a handgun in the commission of a felony.
Well, it has been a cool day around the mountains. Not that temperatures have been that much different than where we were yesterday, but the breezes, the clear skies, it just feels better outside, right? And feels cooler as we'll continue to see temperatures drop tonight. Here's the view from Triangle Park in downtown Hazard right now. Temperatures already in the upper 40s. A little activity going on there at the pavilion there in downtown Hazard. Of course, all the Christmas lights, the Christmas decorations in full bloom there in Triangle Park. A look from our front door here at WYMT. The clouds, they're distant at this hour. Temperatures remaining in the 40s and 50s. 50s. You see the last of our big-time precipitation well up into the northeast, and a few more of those lingering pesky snowflakes across portions of Illinois and Indiana. But for us, we're all quiet, at least for right now. You'll still want to keep that First Alert weather app handy, though. Not only will you get our latest forecast right in the palm of your hand, any weather alerts as they're issued, not that we're expecting any for the next little while, and you'll also get our latest video updates as well. But you open it up, you look at the forecast, you see, we're going to end up in the 30s tonight, and we have temperatures like that close to for highs as we head into the weekend. Those details in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Former President Donald Trump is entering the digital trading card business. Today, Trump announced on his social media platform, Truth Social, the debut of his official digital trading card collection. The ex-president says the cards showcase his life and career, but the featured artwork also includes him as a superhero, astronaut, a cowboy, and others. Rudy Giuliani may find himself in trouble with the Washington, D.C. Bar's Board on Professional Responsibility. A disciplinary committee says Giuliani should be held liable for false election fraud claims when he was representing former President Donald Trump's campaign following the 2020 election. The committee made the announcement today, saying the Bar's disciplinary council had proven at least one of the ethics charges with clear and convincing evidence. More resolutions to the 2020 election controversy could be revealed next week. The January 6th committee is supposed to release its full report to the public on December 21st, but members of Congress may see it as soon as Monday.
I'm looking forward to their report on Monday. As you know, the chair has announced that they will be making a report on Monday, and I look forward to it. Yes, I think that they, from what I've seen what you've seen, what we see on TV, and I think that they conducted the business with the seriousness it deserves. The fact that it's about our national security, it's about our democracy. They did so in a way that I think that was done with dignity and with a factual basis and in a totally nonpartisan way.
Well, a new influx of migrants along the U.S.-Mexico border shows thousands of people in search of a new life in the U.S., but the massive arrivals are overwhelming one border town. CBS's Nicole D'Antonio has more on that from Washington, D.C.
Another wave of migrants is expected to enter the border city of El Paso, Texas today.
This is bigger than just El Paso.
More than 7,000 people have crossed over from Mexico in just the past 3 days, as a pandemic-era immigration restriction known as Title 42 is set to be lifted next week. It currently allows authorities to immediately expel migrants crossing into the U.S.
There's not enough shelters you can build to just handle it all right here. We have to rely on our partners throughout the nation.
The jump in migrants is straining resources in El Paso. Shelters are full and many people are sleeping on the streets in freezing cold weather. Some Republicans blame Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, saying he allowed the situation to get out of control.
He has failed to secure our border and has thus endangered Americans.
The Biden administration has already helped El Paso with its massive expenses. Now, city officials there are expecting to receive an additional $6 million from FEMA to help deal with the crisis.
The money is going to be utilized for food, for shelter, for transportation, security, and all the logistics that go with that.
The Lopez family was fortunate to get into an El Paso shelter after a harrowing 2,000-mile journey. Ingrid Lopez told CBS News her family and hundreds of other migrants were kidnapped and locked in a warehouse for days. She says the group managed to escape by breaking down the doors and running to a neighboring town for help. Now the family's headed to Baltimore for an asylum hearing and to look for work. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
The federal government is suing the state of Arizona for creating a temporary wall at its border. It comes after Arizona Governor Doug Ducey in August issued an order to use shipping containers to fill in gaps along the border without official permits or authorization. The government claims that the temporary wall curtails access to border areas. A San Francisco police officer testified yesterday that he witnessed the attack on U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. Prosecutors say the suspect broke into Pelosi's San Francisco home and attacked her 82-year-old husband. After the attack, Paul Pelosi underwent surgery for a skull fracture and injuries to his right arm and hands. He was released from the hospital in early November. David DePape, a Canadian, was arrested at the scene and faces charges of attempted murder and other felonies.
We are pleased to announce that he was held to answer to all of the charges that were filed against him, which include attempted murder, residential burglary, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, and threats to a public official, as well as false imprisonment of an elder.
DePape pleaded not guilty to federal criminal charges last month. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, winter may be officially just around the corner, but we've already seen some cold temperatures. Ways to save on your heating bill as the chill sets in.
And you'll definitely want to pay attention because it's feeling a whole lot colder outside, and it's going to get a whole lot colder than this. The full breakdown is on the way after this.